Hey everybody, what's up? It is me, Ryoga, the one who the internet is now affectionately calling the based Spiderman. And I just want to give a shout out and some love and, thank you for the love and support that I've gotten from so many people over the last couple days since the Battle of Berkeley 3, which I like to call the riots. First of all, shout outs to Baked Alaska, Irma Hinoza, and oddly enough, Johnny Benitez, who was a man that I saw at the rally from afar, who I was convinced was decked out in swastika tattoos, which turns out he wasn't. And the point of me mentioning him is we had a wonderful conversation, but you really shouldn't judge a book by their cover. If you have opinions about someone, or especially from afar, ask questions and don't make assumptions. With that said, let's jump right into it. My purpose of being at the rally started a couple months prior when the Milo event happened at Berkeley. Full disclosure, Milo actually gave me my tickets to go. We've corresponded over email and for quite some time, and while I don't agree with his opinions, or all of his opinions and views, I still wanted to hear him speak, and I can make a determination of what I like and don't like, but I can't do that unless I hear the words coming out of his mouth. Unfortunately, I did not get that opportunity a couple months ago in Berkeley when Antifa, Black Bloc, and By Any Means Necessary showed up and decided to set fire to the city. And speaking of setting fire to the city, they also tried to set fire to me. The Spider-Man hoodie that I'm wearing actually has burn marks in it as one of the Antifa protesters threw a flare at me. So I'm always going to side with the group that isn't trying to set me on fire, so to speak. And so while I was at the Milo event, it's important to note, I had no expectations on who was going to be there. I only went to hear Milo speak. And while the event was canceled, I still lingered around. And I was surprised a little to see as many people there in Make America Great Again hats. And I had already had assumptions about these people. I assumed that if you wore Make America Great Again hat or shirt, that you must, be and I'm not saying all Trump supporters are racist, and I definitely don't believe that at this time. I definitely don't believe that now. But I made the assumption that if you were willing to leave the house in such garb and gear, that your opinions must be far, far, far right-leaning. And there was this one gentleman that was standing next to me. And at one point, CNN had come up to me and asked me some questions. They wanted to do a short interview, and then nearby a fight broke out. But this guy was standing next to me, and he had a Make America Great Again hat, and people were throwing eggs at him and stuff. And I remember me and this other cool brother were standing by, wondered like, man, look at this fool here. Yeah. But I thought, you know what, let me just ask him questions. So we start to engage, and, he turned out to be nice, interesting. We had a discourse, even while everyone else was around us screaming, we still had a conversation. And at no point did I feel he didn't like me because of the color of my skin or had any sort of opinions that I may or may not didn't agree with. He was just, a supporter of the president, or just, who knows? The point is, you can't make random, baseless assumptions about people just on, how they look. I've gotten that my entire life. Now, while I was doing the interview with CNN, they had asked me questions why I was there, and I explained Milo had given me my tickets. Well, one of the Antifa protesters nearby had overheard that. Almost 45 minutes later, I'm leaving and gonna head back to my car, and a guy comes up to me and calls me a fucking Nazi from behind my back. And I turn around and I said, excuse me? He's like, you're a fucking Nazi, man. You're a fucking Nazi. I'm like, how am I a Nazi? He's like, you're a fucking Nazi, dude. I'm gonna take your picture. So he gets in my face with his camera and starts taking his pictures and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's odd. I don't understand how the black dude out here is a fucking Nazi. Oh well. I was gonna let it drop, but I didn't. So just watch this.
It was supposed to start.
I would love to hear you defend your accusations about how you called me a Nazi.
You're sea lining, dude. Fuck off.
This guy called me a Nazi, so I'd like to understand.
Nobody wants to fucking talk to you.
No one wants
No,
to talk to you.
I'm not talking to you. Him.
right,
this guy called me a Nazi.
Let's have an
I'm
ethical-
black.
let's have a
So how am
argument.
I a Nazi?
Milo gave you your ticket tonight. You said that.
I did say that.
Why'd Milo give you your ticket?
Why did he give it to me? My connections
Do you
run
guys
very
share
deep.
views with the Nazi Milo Yabba Dabba Doo or whatever his name is?
What? You understand? You just called a black nigga a Nazi, right?
So yes, I approached him, I engaged him, I implored him to defend his accusations, and clearly he could not. And I show this to demonstrate the mentality of Antifa, that they have no idea what they're talking about, and just send out baseless accusations to people on the random. So, skipping ahead, after seeing the events of UC Davis, the Milo event, and the March 4th event, and seeing horrific acts of violence and property damage, I felt it was my responsibility to come out as a proponent of free speech and support those who want to have their voices heard. And once again, as I show up, there are groups there that want to commit violence and shut down a person's ability to voice their opinions and share that, which in my opinion is the very definition of fascism, which they claim to be fighting against. So I found myself on the front lines later near the BART station after they had already been pushed back. And there's a lot of screaming and yelling and blustering, and nothing was really happening. Yes, they were still chucking rocks at us. They're chucking eggs at us. They're chucking bottles at us. And I can honestly say, like, while people will say that, well, you're on the Trump side, you're on the side of white supremacists and fascists, the people behind me were white, black, Native American, Latino, some Indians, there were Muslims there, Asians behind me, and in front of me on the Antifa side was a bunch of white people dressed up in bootleg Kmart ninja outfits. So you can imagine which side I'm going to choose to be on, especially the side that's not throwing rocks and bottles at people. After a while, we disengaged because nothing was really happening. It was all talk. And I remember we disengaged after the cops showed up, but they weren't doing anything. And I'll speak on the cops' tactics in a moment. But as soon as we disengaged, the cops came in full force, surrounded all the Antifa, and started making arrests rapidly. And that's when we came back. And I'm the one who led the "We Are the Champions" chant, also the "Mask Off" chant, and shortly after that, after they made their arrests, there was a smaller contingency of us, maybe by 20 on 20, and there was a young girl, young lady, woman, who was going on about how this side, is full of white supremacists, fascists, Nazis, Klan members. And I interjected. I said, wait, where do you see white supremacists at? Because again, all I see is white folks, black folks, Asian folks, Indian folk, Muslim folk, and she's saying that they're all white supremacists. So I engage with her, and she tries to school me on racism, which I find hilarious. And I didn't think too much of it at the moment. But then everyone behind me starts saying, like, you're a white woman trying to educate him on racism, which is pretty funny.
Listen, I'm not gonna belittle you or say anything bad about you. But again, when you throw around the word Nazi, Klan member, KKK, it is offensive to people who lived under actual Nazi regime. It's offensive to people who actually lived under KKK.
You're telling a black man what racist is? And you're a white female! You're a white female! Oh, you're fucking... It's a fucking white female telling a black man what racist is!
While the audio isn't the best, basically for the next few minutes she tried to school me on racism and tell me that all the people behind me were fascists and white supremacists, to which I told her the very actions she were participating in by using violence and intimidation to silence free speech were the actual definitions of fascism. She then asked me what my definition of fascism was. I told her the Merriam-Webster Dictionary of Fascism, and then she says that the Webster Dictionary was created by the patriarchy system and it really didn't matter. Oh, all in all, it was a really interesting and exciting and partly terrifying experience to be in the middle of a riot. I have to say this, that we can't continue to do this. This is unproductive. It is dangerous, and it is mostly dangerous for people that are uninvolved, so to speak. Again, as I mentioned before, the majority of people I saw injured were elderly and really, really young people. On the Antifa side, when they're throwing M80s, rocks, large stone boulders, and bricks just randomly into the crowd, more likely than not, they're going to hit people who can't move away fast enough, which is what I saw often. The saddest part is, I don't consider myself a Trump supporter, nor am I a Democrat. I am left-leaning, but every day that goes by, I become more of a centrist, and I am willing to listen to anybody on any subject. If you come to me and tell me you're a white supremacist, I will happily speak to you. I won't agree with you, more likely than not, but I'll speak to you. I'll have a conversation. I like to hear your views and where you come from, and that doesn't threaten me in any way, shape, or form. And here's the thing. I have a core moral compass. There are certain things that I believe in that cannot be changed. They are unwavering. For most people in Western, society, murder, rape, and theft, those are three things that it is hard to change people's opinions on. And most of us believe that those are three things that you should be against and you shouldn't commit. If somebody got on a platform, on stage with a microphone, and said, go kill somebody, go rape somebody, go steal from somebody, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because it is immoral, it is wrong, and it is divisive and subversive to the society. So when a speaker comes to Berkeley, Washington, D.C., or any other place and speaks, and Antifa shows up to try to prevent that speech, all it says to me is you are afraid. You are afraid that this speaker might convince somebody to do something that they wouldn't otherwise do. And that is not the case. I can't. On my core moralic values, I cannot be wavered and I can't be changed. So either they are speaking to the choir, and all they're saying is things that people already agree with, or they are giving information and people may or may not change their position on, whatever issue it may not be. But the very fact that there is a group that is trying to shut down free speech, it shows how cowardly and afraid they are of a differing opinion. And that sounds so familiar to me. It sounds like Nazi Germany. It sounds like ISIS controlling the Middle East right now. So I have no love for these cowards, these absolute cowards, as they take hostage of not only Berkeley, the campus and the city, but they're taking hostage of free speech ideas, and by damn it, the American way. So Antifa, Black Bloc, by any means necessary, you guys got to go. You can't keep doing this. I will be at the Ann Coulter gathering when it comes up. Not that I like Ann Coulter in any way, shape, or form. And believe it or not, I have listened to hours upon hours of her content. A lot of what she says is just like right-leaning shit. And it doesn't bother me. And that's the main important thing. It doesn't bother me. I'm not threatened by it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of anybody's speech. I'm afraid of action. Actually, no, I'm not afraid of actions. But when you commit subversive actions, I will fight you on that. But speech, I don't care. I really don't care. How many times a year does the Klan hold a rally? In Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, somewhere else. They all come out, full-on hats, regalia and shit, horsebacks with the big-ass flags and everything, with the grand wizards and dragons and fucking cosplay shit. I don't know what they are. They do it, I don't know, once or twice a year. They hold a rally. How many people show up to the rally? 15, 20? That's it. Why? Because we all think the Klan's a bunch of idiots. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. There's about 15 supporters and 100 people on the other side, and all they're doing is laughing and making fun of them. Why can't Antifa or even the right have a similar approach to people they disagree with. Like, if I don't like what you have to say, I'm not gonna show up. I don't care. If Richard Spencer had a meeting somewhere, I wouldn't go because I don't give a fuck about Richard Spencer. You know, one, I don't know that much about the guy other than he got punched in the face, but you know, I don't care. I don't care. I do care about actual fascists, i.e. Antifa, fucking up my environment. So we will always be at odds. So that's just the short end of what I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say, and I hope it wasn't too long and boring. And I don't know, maybe I'll do more of these. Maybe I'll talk about more of my opinions in the future if there's any interest in hearing them. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Peace out. Thank you so much again for your outpouring of love, support, and adoration. #based Spiderman. Peace.